by worth from least to most. These values fluctuated over time drastically, so I'm using the average value. The first and worth least of British coins is the mite, which was worth 1/24th of a penny. This was mostly used during the Tudor times, but also traces its way back to the Anglo-Saxon times. In Tudor times, these coins weren't actually minted, but just used in accounting. Next was the quarter farthing, which was worth 1/16th of a penny. This was used during the Victorian era. Next is the third farthing, which was worth 1/12th of a penny. This coin was mainly only used in Malta, and was also mainly used in the Victorian time. Next is the half farthing, which was worth 1/8th of a penny. It was first used in Ceylon, or as we now know it as Sri Lanka, but also became legal currency in the United Kingdom, and was again used in the Victorian era. It was in use since medieval times, all the way up until the 20th century. Then we have the farthing, which is worth 1/4 of a penny. The word farthing means fourth part. Next we have the halfpenny, which, as you guessed, is worth half a penny. These were referred to as the halfpenny or the halfpennies by the general public. These were minted to stop the British public cutting coins in half, which was legal at the time, and they've been in use from medieval times all the way up until the 20th century. The 3 farthings, which was worth 3/4 of a penny, was a short-lived coin. These coins were minted in Tudor times to increase the diversity of coins on the market. And now we have the most important British coin, the penny. It's been in use since the Anglo-Saxon time and is still in use today as of 2021. The general public in medieval times used to refer to it as the copper, and is referred to as pence if talking about the price of something, as in that's worth 3 pence. And it used the Roman coin, the denarius, as a template. Next we have the hardhead, which was used only in Scotland and was worth 1 penny and a half. Scottish coins are hard to value as they fluctuated in price all the time. Scottish coins were also worth a lot less than English coins, so for instance this hardhead would have been worth about a farthing in England. So whenever a Scottish coin comes up, just adjust it down a bit in value. These were minted in Tudor times as a copy of the English 2 pence coin. Then we have the 3 halfpence, which was also worth 1 penny and a half. It was minted on and off from the Tudor times to the Victorian times, with the British people referring to it as the 3 halfpence. It was mainly minted for British colonies, especially those in the West Indies. Next we have the half groat, which is worth 2p. It was used from the medieval time and was still in use all the way up until the Stuarts. Then we have the 2 pence coin, which is also worth 2 pennies. It's got the nickname tuppence. It's been in use from Georgian times and is still in use today. Then we have the half plaque, which was also worth 2 pence in Scotland, and there's sadly no good image of it, and there's very little known about it other than it was used in medieval time Scotland. Then we have another Scottish coin, the Turner, which was also worth 2 pennies and was minted in the time of the Stuarts. The Boddle is another Scottish coin minted under the Stuarts, and it was also worth 2 pence. Scotland minted so many different 2 pence coins as it needed to compete with the English 1 pence coin. So these 2 pence Scottish coins would have been worth 1 pence in England. Then we have the 3 pence, which was worth 3 pennies. It was minted from the Tudor times all the way up until the 20th century, and this coin had many nicknames: the threepence, thruppence, threepence, thrifney bit and fruffney bit. It was also referred to as the joey, as it replaced the groat, and the groat's nickname was also the joey. The half bawbee was minted in Scotland during the time of the Stuarts and was worth 3 pennies. An earlier coin used in Scotland worth 3 pence was the pellet. It was minted in Tudor times and there's sadly very little known about it. The plaque was used in Scotland and was worth 4 pence. It was minted during the time of the Stuarts and was worth 1/4 of a penny in England, and its usage in Scotland can be traced back to medieval times. Then we have the groat, which was worth 4 pennies. As stated before, the general public nicknamed it the joey. It was named after Joseph Hume, a Scottish Tory MP. He was a radical MP who got elected many times. He stood for election in Waworth, Dorset, England, the Aberdeen boroughs in Scotland, Middlesex in England, Kilkenny in Ireland, and the Montrose boroughs in Scotland. Oh, and he got successfully elected every time. He recommended the public use the groat to pay for short cab fares, which is why he got the name Joey. Next we have the fourpence, which as you expect is worth 4 pennies. It was also known as the fourpenny, and again the Joey after Joseph Hume, and it was used in the Victorian era. The 5 pence coin, or 5p, was worth 5 pennies. This coin replaced the shilling upon decimalisation. It also got the nickname the threepence. It also earned the nickname nickel in 1866, when the contents of the coin was changed from silver and copper to copper and nickel. Next we have the sixpence, which is obviously worth 6 pennies. It was also known as the tanner, the tenbury, the 6-penny piece and the 6-penny bit. It was used from the Tudor times to the 20th century. It also lasted after decimalisation until being discontinued after 10 years because of lack of use. There was a tradition surrounding the sixpence, but they was baked into Christmas puddings. And then if you were served the sixpence, it was a sign of good luck. The Royal Mint also kept this tradition going by minting some Christmas coins, however they no longer do this. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue, and a silver sixpence in her shoe. This was a rhyme in Britain that many people still follow, however the sixpences are much harder to come by nowadays. They were also sewn into Royal Air Force uniforms as a sign of good luck in World War II. As you can tell, this was a much loved coin by the British, and they were sad to see it go. It also got the nickname Bender, as it was made out of pure silver and would therefore bend in the hands. Many of these coins were bent into heart shapes and earned the nickname love tokens. This is also where the expression going out on a bender comes from, as people used to take these to the pubs with them. This coin also got the nickname the tanner. This is because gypsies across the country called it the tarno, which translates to the small coin. The bawbee was a Scottish coin worth 6 pennies, and it was minted from the time of the Tudors to the time of the Stuarts. At the time of minting it was worth 1 English halfpenny. The 1/3 groat was minted in Scotland to try and aid inflation. It was minted in the time of the Stuarts and was worth 6 pennies. Then we have the double groat, which was worth 8 pennies. I'm now going to switch to using a pie chart to show the value out of the pound. The double groat was minted from the medieval era to the time of the Tudors. It was mainly used in Ireland, but also saw use in the rest of the British Isles, and there's very few references to this coin in history. Next we have the 9pence, which was worth 9 pennies. As nice as a 9pence was an old phrase, meaning that you looked very neat and tidy. This coin was not used commonly, and very few of them have been found, and they were minted during the time of the Stuarts. Next we have a shilling, which is worth 1/20th of a pound, on average. It was used from Tudor times up until the early 20th century. When it was first minted it was called the test spoon, but soon got a name change. It's unknown exactly why it got the name change, but we do know that shilling comes from the Old English word skilling. It got the nickname bob, as in it cost me a bob or two. There's also a popular phrase in Britain to this day called take the king's shilling. This is because soldiers were giving a shilling upon enlisting in the army or navy. Press gangs, those who encouraged people to join the military, used to secretly put a shilling into people's beer. If a local man then accidentally touched the shilling with his lips, he was said to have taken the king's shilling and would then be sent to the military. The equivalent to the shilling in Scotland was the nonsense. It was used in Tudor times, but it's not known how common they were. A quarter florin, or helm, was worth 2/20th of a pound. It was minted using French templates to encourage trade with Europe in medieval times. The gold penny, when introduced, was worth around 20 pennies. However, it faced much deflation. Most pennies at the time were silver, so this new penny was minted to increase trade. It was a highly devalued coin and faced a lot of criticism. Merchants would also take many of these coins to go and be melted down for the price of gold, as the gold was actually worth more than the coin. So this coin was far from a success. Next we have the quarter noble, which was worth 1/12th of a pound, and it only saw use in the medieval times. The half florin, or the leopard, was worth 3/20ths of a pound, and it was minted only to try and increase trade with the rest of Europe. The florin, or 2 shillings, saw use from the Victorian times to the early 20th century. It was an experimental coin minted to test out decimalisation before it actually happened. It was basically the Victorian 10-pence coin, which in turn brings us to the 10-pence coin, which was also worth 1/10th of a pound. It saw use as of shifting to decimalisation and is still in use today. Here we have the quarter angel, which was minted in Tudor times, and it was worth 1/8 of a pound. Here we have the half crown, which was also worth 1/8 of a pound. It was also sometimes referred to as the $half or half a dollar. The half noble was worth 1/6 of a pound and was only used in medieval times. It was replaced by the half angel, which was also worth 1/6 of a pound. This coin saw use in the Tudor times and early Stuart era. Next we have the double florin, which was in use in Victorian times. It was worth 1/5 of a pound. This coin was also used as a test run of decimalisation. This coin wasn't well liked by the public as it was too similar to the crown coin, which was also running at the same time. People used to try and use this coin as crowns, even though crowns were worth a lot more, and therefore this coin was given the nickname Barman's Grief. Next we have the 20p piece, which is the modern day double florin coin. It's also worth 1/5 of a pound and is in a heptagon shape. It's also referred to as 20p. There are also 25p coins minted, however these are only for commemorative purposes. 20p coins started after decimalisation and are still in use today, however 25p coins aren't in use anymore today. The half demi was a medieval short-lived Scottish coin, worth 9/40 of a pound. The Crown of the Rose is an extremely rare coin minted for King Henry VIII. It was worth 9/40 of a pound, and saw little use, so it wasn't a success. Some later half-crown coins would copy the design of Crowns of Barone coins, so the design of the coins was obviously still well liked. This coin is a prized possession of coin collectors across the globe. The Rose Noble, or Royal, was worth half a pound and was used in medieval times and Tudor times. The half sovereign is also worth half a pound and has been in use since the Tudor times. It's still in use today, however after decimalisation it's used for bullion purposes only, and by bullion I mean it's collected by investors. The half unicorn was also worth half a pound and was used in Tudor time Scotland. It replaced the lion coin that was also used in Scotland during Tudor times and was also worth half a pound. The half-pound coin, which is worth, as you guessed, half a pound, was used in Tudor times all the way up until the Stuarts. It was slowly phased out and ran alongside the double crown coin, which was also worth half a crown, and ran in the time of the Stuarts. This was in turn replaced by the half Lurel, which was also worth half a pound and ran in the time of the Stuarts. The reason the half pound was replaced by the double crown and the double crown was replaced by the half Lurel was because these were made from gold and the price of gold fluctuated all the time, so these coins needed to be reintroduced to maintain value. The last to do this was the half Unite, which replaced the half Lurel and was also worth half a pound. This was also minted in the Stuart era. And the last half a pound coin is the 50p coin. It's also referred to as the 50p coin and is in a polygon shape. This coin was introduced with decimalisation and is still in use today. There's a huge amount of designs for this coin, as we'll explore later on in this video, making it the most collectible coin in the world. Next we have the half guinea, which was worth slightly more than half, 20 out of 40. This coin was in circulation from the times of the Stuarts up until the times of the Georgians, and it was introduced with the Great Recoinage of 1816. The mark or merk is a complicated coin. This is because it was never actually a legal coin, but was used in trading. They acted sort of like mites, but weren't only used by accountants, but also by the general public. Instead of being a coin, it was actually a weight measurement. In medieval times, which is when it was used, every coin was worth their weight. So if you could get your coins to add up to this weight, it would be worth 1 mark or 1 merk. And the value of a mark or merk fluctuated greatly over time. This was most probably introduced by the Danes and went out of use with the loss of the gold standard. Originally, it would have been worth 100p. This did not equal a pound, remember, because 1 pound was 240p originally. But the value shifted seemingly from area to area, so it's impossible to know how much this was worth. The Spur Royale was minted during the Stuart era. It's an extremely rare and sought after coin by collectors, as it was just an earlier prototype of the Rose Noble or Royale. An eagle crown was a variation of the crown used in Scotland. Although there are records of this coin, there's not a lot known about it, and none of them survive to this day. It may have just been a crown, but was referred to as an eagle crown because there was an eagle on it, or it may have been an actual coin aimed to compete with the English crown, and it was worth 18th 20ths. However, it was probably worth around a crown in England. The unicorn was a Scottish coin used in the Tudor era, and it was worth 1 Scots pound. The elites in Scotland reportedly loved this coin, and used to give them out as gifts to foreigners. Next we have the sovereign, which is one of the most iconic British coins. It was first minted in Tudor times, but is still in use today. However, after decimalisation, it's only minted for bullion. It had the nickname Sov, which was just short for sovereign, and they also had the nickname Nuggets, which is probably because they were minted out of gold. This coin was first minted under the Tudors, wasn't minted under the Stuarts, and then made its return with the Georgians. Sovereigns were also minted in British colonies around the world, such as India, Australia and Canada, and they're still minted on and off around the world to this date, with the last one happening in India in 2013. However, they're primarily minted in Britain. This coin was created to promote free trade across the world, and it definitely succeeded in that. The Unite coin was minted in the time of the Stuarts, and it was minted to promote friendship and cooperation between England and Scotland. And it was also worth £1. Another coin called the Carlius was introduced around this time, but there's little known about it, so it was probably similar to the Luelle. The Luelle replaced the Sovereign and Unite coin, but was much poorer in quality. Although this coin was very good for international standards, it wasn't up to quality for British standards. And it was also minted during the time of the Stuarts. Next we have the most iconic British coin, the pound. It's also got the nickname quid. The term quid was originally used for banknotes, but over time this slowly made its way onto the coin. The coin itself was introduced with decimalisation. However, the term pound was introduced as late back as Roman ages. This is because pound is a weight, and as we've discussed with the mark, a lot of trading was done through weights and not the actual coins. The Sovereign, Unite, Luriel and probably the Carlius coin were all referred to as pounds. The Abbey crown was a coin used in Scotland and is similar to the Eagle crown. It was introduced during the Tudor era. The 20 shillings coin was minted in Scotland during the Stuarts era, and it was worth £1. The broad coin was introduced under the Commonwealth of England by Oliver Cromwell. They're all extremely high in quality and sought after by collectors, and it's the last coin on this list to be worth £1. Unless you count the 22 shillings coin, which was worth just over £1. It was the prototype for the Unite coin, and was soon replaced by it. And it was mainly used in Scotland, but also saw use around the rest of the British Isles. The guinea, when first introduced, was also worth £1. However, because it was made out of gold, and the price of gold increased at the time, the value of this coin also increased. Struck and in use between the Stuart and Georgian eras. Although the guinea was discontinued when Britain adopted the gold standard, the term guinea would live on. Kind of like how in modern days we still use the term bob, even though the shilling isn't a thing anymore. The term guinea wasn't only used in slang, however, it was also a term used by accountants. The term guinea would also especially live on in horse and greyhound racing. People would still refer to the guinea when placing a bet. In Egypt, they still use the pound, but they don't call it the pound, they call it the el guinea, and this comes from the English guinea. The term guinea would also continue to be used for luxury purposes even after it was discontinued. For instance, if you was buying a bespoke suit or a work of art, the seller would ask for it in guineas, and everyone just knew that they meant a pound. This made buying things for foreigners very hard. For instance, if a foreigner wanted to buy land, the seller would ask for it in guineas, and the foreigner would obviously not know what a guinea was. The quarter rider was used and introduced in Scotland around the late medieval period, and it was worth £1.50. The Rose Royale was also worth £1.50 and was introduced in the Tudor era. It's also a rare coin and sought after by collectors. It was also used in Scotland, but was just called the Royale. It was also referred to as the 30 shillings. The £2 coin was introduced with decimalisation. This coin also has many designs, although not even nearly as many as the 50p coin. And it's obviously worth £2. The ducat or bonnet coin was used in Scotland around the Tudor era. These were the finest minted quality coins in Scotland and were all minted from Scottish gold from Scottish quarries. The double guinea is worth just over £2. It was originally just called the 40 shillings piece. However, with the introduction of the guinea, it had a name change. It was used in the Stuart and Georgian eras. The 44 shilling coin was used in Scotland from the medieval times to the Stuart era. It was a short-lived coin that saw use in the Tudor era, and it was worth just over £2. The half-rider was introduced in Scotland around the late medieval period and was worth £2.50. It used German coins as a template. The 15 shillings coin is one of the rarest British coins. They were only ever minted once, and it's unknown how many were minted in this batch. However, it's believed that only 11 survive to this day. The surviving coins are all very high in quality, which means that the other minted coins were most probably high in quality. They were minted under the Commonwealth of England under Oliver Cromwell, obviously highly sought after by collectors, with the last one selling for £500,000. However, in their day, they would have been worth £2.50. The triple Unite coin was introduced alongside the Unite coin and was to boost cooperation and friendship between England and Scotland. It was only minted during the English Civil War and is the highest value hammered coinage in English history. And these coins were all extremely high in quality. They were worth £3. The £3 coin was minted in Scotland during the Tudor era, and it was worth £3 Scots pound. It soon made way for the sword and sceptre coin, which was used from the late Tudor to the Stuart era. It's also a bit confusing because the sword and sceptre is also the design of many coins, also just called the sword and sceptre. So this is basically just the £3 coin, but with a sword and sceptre design on it. Not really a unique coin, but I thought I'd add it anyway. The hat piece coin was minted in the late Tudor era in Scotland. Got its name from King James VI wearing a hat on the coin, and it was worth around £4 Scots pound. £5 coins were minted and used in the Victorian and Georgian eras. They were also reintroduced after decimalisation by the Royal Mint, who uses them as bullion coins. It was also known as the 5 sovereign piece and the quintuple sovereign. There's also a large amount of different designs of this coin for bullion collectors, and it's obviously worth £5. The Rider coin was introduced and used in Scotland around the late medieval period. It used German coins as a template and was worth £5 Scots pound. 5 guineas was introduced in Tudor times and was also used in Georgian times. It was originally called £5, however it got a name change when the guinea was introduced, and it was worth just over £5 on average. The £10 coin, obviously worth £10, was introduced long after decimalisation. It was first introduced to celebrate Queen Elizabeth II's 65th year as Queen, overtaking Queen Victoria's record. It's still minted today and used as a bullion coin for collectors. These Royal Mint coins are legal tender, so you can take them to the shop and buy stuff. However, it would be a waste of money, as you can sell these coins for way more than they're worth. However, this coin has never entered general circulation and is only for collectors. The pistole is a Scottish coin that used Spanish coins as a template. It was minted in the early Stuarts era and was worth £12 Scots pound. This coin was introduced as a last-ditch effort to save the Scots pound. This just goes to show how dire the Scottish economy was at the time, as this coin was only worth £1 in England. The £20 coin is another coin introduced by the Royal Mint for collectors and bullion. This coin is only used to celebrate very special occasions and to this date has only ever had 9 designs. Another type of these bullion coins is the £50 coin. And the £100 coin is another type of bullion coin. And no, the £100 coin isn't the largest value of coin. The rest of these coins are all bullion coins issued by the Royal Mint. Have a guess now what you think the max value of coin is. £500? Nope. Higher. £1,000? Nope. £2,000? Nope. Have one more guess. The largest value of coin issued in British history is the £10,000 coin. These coins are also quite literally worth their weight in gold, so far from pocket change. This coin took over 400 hours to craft. There have been larger and more valuable coins minted in overseas territories. However, this video is focused on coins of the British Isles.
Be sure to check out my other channel, History Sticks, for the complete, longer and comprehensive video.